What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F122 My Team Career Mode. We are here in the final season of our My Team Career Mode, and it is round 3 at the Chinese Grand Prix. So far this season we have had 2 P2 finishes, but that elusive top step of the podium has not yet found its way to us. We lost out to our teammate Alex Albon in Bahrain, and then we could not match Verstappen's pace in Australia. So we come into the third round of the season still chasing that first win in a circuit which has been historically a very strong circuit for me. I am very good in the second stint on this track, always reeling in the cars in front of me, and taking the win has been my modus operandi for quite a few years. At this point, I think this was where I took my first win last season, and I also won it 3 years on the trot before that. So basically, ever since my first win on this track in Season 3, there has not been a year that I haven't won it. So that should be a good omen for this season. I would hope that that we can come away and win this once again. But there's a lot we've got to do before that, including both practice and qualifying. So we're going to dive straight into practice to begin with. And yeah, I'm very optimistic about this weekend. You know, we're currently leading the championship by 5 points to Max Verstappen, so I'm feeling like, you know, this will be a good opportunity to extend the gap even further. You know, if he has a good result here, then obviously we won't be able to extend it by a lot, but if he doesn't have such a good result, then we could really be able to start stretching our legs. You can see that we were not in the top 14 in practice, but we only went out on a set of mediums. I didn't think our pace was atrocious, and this was nothing to panic about so far. You know, not a lot of championship contenders in the mix on this occasion, so yeah, not too much to worry about. But yeah, at the top of the table right now, apart from myself and Albon, you've also got Verstappen, obviously, who got that win, and Lance Stroll as well, interestingly enough, has had 2 top 5 finishes in a row, so he is quietly entering himself into the conversation. I've been very impressed, honestly. You know, Aston Martin came out swinging as one of the strongest teams on the grid to start this season, and I mean, that has boded really well for them and allowed Lance Stroll to be very competitive in some of these races. His teammate Nicholas Latifi, not so much, unfortunately. You know, he made it through Q3 in Bahrain, but in Australia he was sort of right back off the pace where you would expect him to be. But anyway, speaking of qualifying, we now find our way to the start of qualifying. We're on a fresh set of soft compound tyres to kick things off, and we do a 1:31.7. And I think we will be going back out on this set of tyres once again. I don't think we need to improve further than that. You can see we're in P6 come the end of the session, so I thought to myself, I'll save the tyres, I'll go out on the same set once again, and yeah, we don't improve, but we do find ourselves in a decent position of P6, so we're comfortably through to Q2, and now we're going to see if we can go one further, make it through to Q3, and hopefully qualify, you know, sort of in the top 3 at least again. I don't have to necessarily be starting first in order to be in with a shot of winning the race. A couple shocks here, specifically Charles Leclerc being eliminated is perhaps not something I was really expecting in Q1, down in P20. Ricciardo starting at the back of the grid tomorrow. Whilst I would expect Ricciardo to not be doing amazingly while that McLaren is still trying to build back its way into the championship, I definitely did not have Ricciardo qualifying 22nd on the cards. And I mean, maybe this is a sign that his career is starting to dwindle a little bit. I initially go fastest on a fresh set of soft compound tyres in Q2, but this time didn't fill me full of confidence it was going to be good enough to see me through the session. So I did go out again on a new set of soft compound tyres. Means we'll only have 1 fresh set for Q3, but we do improve to P4 in the end. And yeah, I mean, that was a pretty good session, all things considered. We didn't need to do that, as it turned out, because we would have come through in P8 on our previous time, but I didn't want to run the risk. And, you know, it means that we're going to have to do a banker on some used softs this time and then go out on some fresh softs to end things off. Piastri and Porsche making it through once again, as well as both Alpines too. The Aston Martin of Stroll on this occasion actually down in 11th, so he has not made it through. And yeah, probably a few more shocks up and down the field apart from that. But yeah, both Alpines making it through when they're not the strongest car on the grid is perhaps a little bit surprising to see. You know, we still got Verstappen and Gasly and Sainz making it through. I think Norris got through as well, if I remember correctly, but I might be wrong about that. Actually, no. Can he have done? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to stop worrying about this too much. Both Red Bulls down in 9th and 10th, and they've done their final lap, so they will be starting 9th and 10th for the Grand Prix. Now, what is on our plate is how far up the order can we get? You know, I think we can comfortably probably get ahead of Piastri, both Porsche and both Alpines and Porsche is what I was trying to say there. So I think third is easily on the cards here for us, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who we can get ahead of. Actually, Russell was the guy who got through and not Norris. I remember now. So Norris was eliminated, but Russell is currently sitting pretty at the top, I think. And we improved by 8 tenths. We crossed the line. It's a 1:31.0. And is that good enough for pole position? No, not even close. It's P4 on this occasion. And we have to do a lot tomorrow in order to win this Grand Prix. It was Russell on pole in the end from our teammate Alex Albon, and in that Alpine, Yuki Tsunoda delivering an absolute masterclass. Wow, I did not expect that he would be that far up the order. Sainz in P5 with Piastri just behind him in P6, and then Ocon and Porsche make up 7th and 8th with Gasly and Verstappen rounding out the top 10. And yeah, a real shock there, all things considered. I definitely didn't expect Tsunoda to be that far up the grid. He's going to be starting in the top 3. Could he be on for a podium in the same place that he got his first podium all those years ago, back in 2023? I don't think he's actually had another podium since then. That was a very bizarre race. Gasly, Stroll and Tsunoda making up the podium on that occasion. And obviously Gasly drinking in a fair amount of champagne since then, with a few wins and a lot of podiums during his stint at Red Bull. But Stroll getting his first podium since that race in China back in 2023. Just last race in Australia, actually, he came home P3. Could Tsunoda do the exact same thing in the following race? Let's find out as we get into the Chinese Grand Prix.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight before the cars break into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, just edging out Alex Albon, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Tsunoda, Robinson, Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Théo Pourchaire, Verstappen and Pierre Gasly, Stroll, Lundgaard, Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher, Drugovich, Latifi, Robert Schwartzman and Kevin Magnussen, Joe, Leclerc, Fittipaldi and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Can we talk about Mercedes? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
What is Blood waffling about? Seriously, they said Mercedes haven't got on top of the new regulations. They've already overtaken Aston Martin in the performance standings. They're the second best car on the grid. Russell's on pole position. What do you mean they haven't got on top of the new regulations? Zhou Guanyu has been shockingly average for them, if not bad, the whole time he's been driving for them. And for some reason, they still haven't managed to sign anyone to replace him. Literally anyone would have been better. Why didn't they sign Tsunoda at some point if clearly he was trying to look for an out? Tsunoda has been absolutely brilliant and Joe has been anything but. So I really don't get why they keep holding on to Joe all this time. And then the commentators have the audacity to blame the car. It's ridiculous. But anyway, enough about Mercedes as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we get away fairly well, especially compared to Tsunoda. Obviously, we're on those soft compound tyres compared to these medium compound tyre runners around us. It's going to initially give us a good start, but we are going to fall off very, very quickly, so we need to make good pace now. And we do exactly that as we go up the inside of George Russell there and find our way into P2 off the start of this Grand Prix. But I think Alex Albon is going to start stretching his legs away from us now as he gets the power down nice and early and pulls away from us in the traction zone. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a battle between me and him. You can see that George Russell tries to go along my my outside there, ends up switching to the inside, and actually I think he is going to make this move stick. And yeah, he finds his way up into P2, and we fall down to P3 once again. So we were briefly up into third for a matter of corners, but in the end Russell reclaims that P2. But still, he falls off the lead, and he's going to be absolutely gutted about that. Because, you know, this was a really good opportunity for him to win this Grand Prix, and it slipped through his fingers at the first corner, potentially, unless he can challenge back Albon. Of course, it is a marathon and not a sprint, but the sign's certainly not looking good for Russell at this moment in time. So, yeah, I would wage to say that this is going to be Albon's world, and we are all just living in it this weekend. I think I haven't capitalised on my chances, but that said, if I can stay with these guys, then there is every chance in the world that I might be able to get them back during the second stint. You guys know how strong I am in the second stint around here. It's where I've won every race. I've never been leading before the pit stop phase, I think, apart from maybe once around here. Every other time, it's always been me sort of running in maybe, I don't know, third or fourth, and then slowly carving my way through the field during the second stint. And I see absolutely no reason why this can't happen here again today in China. So I think it's going to be a Jaguar for the win, but I don't know which one it's going to be yet, either myself or Albon. And yeah, a very good opportunity for us to lead home a 1-2 here potentially, if we can do that. DRS now enabled, and we are still within DRS range of George Russell, so we've managed to sort of stabilise our pace a little bit. We're not looking quite as rapid as we were off the start. I think it's difficult, obviously, because we have that soft compound tyre on at the moment. You know, that loses grip very quickly compared to the medium compound tyres. Within about 5 laps or so, it's already losing pace. You saw what it was like in Australia in the previous race if you tuned into that one. I actually ended up pitting a lap early, and we were only meant to be going 8 laps on that occasion, because that's how bad the tyre grip got. After literally about 5 laps on those tyres, I couldn't do it anymore. But yeah, we start to lose pace to Russell a little bit. You can see he's 9/10 up the road, and I think we are going to fall out of DRS range soon, because these tyres are not quite as strong as his tyres, I think, at this stage. I think he's just a little bit faster on those tyres, so I'd be very surprised if we are able to stay within DRS range. And indeed, you can see now that we have actually fallen outside of DRS range as we move towards the end of lap 4. Sainz will have the DRS behind me, but will he be going for a move up the inside on this occasion at the hairpin? He does think about it. We're going to try and hold him off around the outside, but he pushes his way past us, and who is going to be leading here? Let's see. I think it's going to be Sainz on this occasion, but it does mean that we're going to get the DRS for the next zone, so I think we will be able to repass him with relative ease. And you can see that with a little bit of battery being deployed here, as well as the DRS, it is pretty trivial for us, and we make our way back into P3 in the first corner of lap 5. But, you know, it's definitely not over for us yet. I think Sainz definitely has the opportunity to get past us if he so desires. You know, with the DRS, he's going to be extremely strong. But I can't battle with him too much, because the whole time I'm battling with him, all this is going to mean is that Albon and Russell get further out of range, and it is going to make it all that harder to stay with them until we get to the second stint. If they move too far ahead in this race, then it's probably game over for me, I would imagine. But yeah, moving further and further ahead now as we move on to the end of lap 5. And I think Sainz is going to try and attack us with this DRS once again. He's about 2/10 back. He's going up the inside at the hairpin. And is he going to make the same move that he made last time? I'm a little bit closer to the inside of the corner this time. I give him enough room, but only just enough room. We go wheel to wheel, and this whole time I am going to be losing time to the cars in front. We managed to squeeze him out there, and we also get the DRS because he was marginally ahead going into the detection window. But what we have actually done by squeezing him out there has enabled Yuki Tsunoda to take P4 in this race for the time being. So that is a fantastic performance from Tsunoda to capitalise on that. And you can see that as we move on to lap 8 now, this is going to be our pit lap. Tsunoda has held on to that P3 but will he still be able to hold off Sainz without any DRS to me in front? Who can say? Either way, we're now coming in. We're going to be fitting a set of medium compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, and this is where the race is going to start getting interesting, because now I'm going to see what kind of pace I have. If we have a bit of an air gap in front of us, then there is every chance in the world that we might undercut the cars in front, Russell and Albon, but yeah, it remains to be seen what happens with that. I do want to have a bit of an on-track fight if I can. But if I just inherit the win off of pace, then I won't be too disappointed with that either. Pierre Gasly, I think, has already come in to fit his medium compound tyres as well. So, yeah, he's 3 seconds down the road from us as well. That's someone we perhaps have to be cognizant of, that he doesn't catch up to us too much. And, yeah, we'll see what kind of pace we can showcase. Now move towards the end of lap 9, and a lot of the soft compound tyre runners ahead of us are coming in. Latifi staying out, but pretty much everyone else in front of us has come in at this point. So we don't have to worry about navigating too much traffic as long as we can get ahead of Latifi with all deliberate speed. Meanwhile, Gasly sets the fastest lap again, and you can see he is starting to close me down a little bit. And yeah, we're going to see what kind of pace he's showing. Lance Stroll 6 seconds back at the moment, having started 11th, and he is the leader of the rest of the soft compound runners. After myself, I say soft compound runners. I mean people who were doing a soft medium strategy is probably a better way of saying it. And his teammate Latifi holding me up a treat right now. I just can't find a way to navigate him, and this is potentially, you know, Latifi attempting to get Stroll back involved in the mix a little bit. Who knows? But yeah, Latifi holding me up a storm right now. He holds me up through this sweeping right-hander, but we're going to try and go up the outside of him as we move through this double apex corner. And yeah, that was not really a place you overtake, but I did on this occasion, because that's just how I roll. And yeah, we're going to see if we can extend the gap to over a second from Latifi as we move through this sort of, I don't really know what you call this kind of corner, a very long corner. That's what it is. But yeah, we drop Latifi, he pits, and that's the end of it. Now we move on to lap 13, and the first of the people who started on mediums are coming in, including Pourchaire and Piastri. And yeah, we managed to find our way up to P8 in the moment. I think we're still in net P3 for the moment, but I'm not sure. It really depends on where Russell and Albon are going to come out. I think we'll be comfortably ahead of all the cars who were behind us when we came to the pits, you know, our Sainz and Sonoda and those people. But as for everyone else, I'm not 100% sure where these guys are going to come out in relation to us. But we will find out very shortly as we move towards the end of lap 14 now. And yeah, the majority of the other runners will be coming in. I imagine you can see that Verstappen is in, and I think some people in front of him have come in as well. Leclerc is going in, so I think we will take our rightful place on the track. But where is it going to be? You can see that Ocon is in too, and I think that's about it. Oh, Russell came in as well. So yeah, at the moment the order up front is actually Sainz, Albon, Sonoda. So I don't know if Albon made some kind of mistake. I'm not sure how Sainz managed to get ahead of him. But either way, we're not quite ahead of Russell at the moment. But he has to warm up those tyres. And while he's warming up those tyres, we're going to try and sweep around the outside of him at turn 3. And I think maybe we've just about managed to do it. But no, he pulls away from us. We're going to dive bomb him at the following corner. And we actually make the move stick on this occasion. But yeah, that is maybe the net lead of the race taken. You can see that the gap to Albon is 13 seconds, and the pit stop is longer than that round here. So yeah, I think that is the net lead of the race assumed for the time being. But Russell is not prepared to give this up on those hard compound tyres. You can see he's stuck right with me all the way to lap 17. He did not get dropped by any stretch of the imagination, and now he is potentially sizing up a move on me into turn 1. Who's going to win out on this occasion? It's actually going to be George Russell. Maybe we can try a signature move, squeeze it back up the inside. We push him out. We're going to go wheel to wheel through the following corner, but he's going to have the inside line for the next one. I'm going to have to try and sweep around the outside like I did beforehand. And who is going to win out in this battle? Let's see. He's got the better traction once again, but am I going to dive bomb him into the hairpin like I did on the previous occasion? No, because he holds to the inside this time, and I try and go around the outside, but he just has too much grip. And yeah, we have to settle for second best. We'll have to settle into a rhythm for now and see if we can overtake him later in the lap, later into the stint. I am strong on these medium compound tyres around here, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to win the race when I'm faced with the second fastest driver on the grid at the moment, I would say, or at least the second fastest car on the grid for sure. The Mercedes is not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. When you compare it to previous seasons, I definitely think that they have a potential to contend if they can fix their consistency issues. You know, ever since Lewis Hamilton retired, all the way back in season 3, they've looked like they've really been struggling with their drivers more than anything. And yeah, this seems to be no exception especially Zhou Guanyu all the way down outside the points. But yeah, we move now onto lap 21, but you can see that we have stayed with Russell, but we're not looking like we're primed and ready to overtake him at the moment. So we're going to have to try and close him up a little bit if we want to make that move. But yeah, I mean, things are looking all right. I can just try and hang back and see if I can overtake him a little bit later. Although that was what ended up coming back and biting me on the arse in Bahrain. If you remember, I was on the mediums and Albon was on the hards, and I hung back thinking I would attack him towards the end so it wouldn't leave me susceptible to a late attack from Albon after I overtook him. And in the end, what happened was I went for the late attack, and Albon had pace in spades still at that point, and so he just pulled away from me as soon as I started attacking, and maybe that's what might happen on this occasion. So I need to try and stay with Russell, try and overtake him, but I'm not going to go for any gutsy moves at the moment because there's still a lot to play for. Now we're looking at the back of Ricciardo's car. This is one of the Red Bulls trying to close him down. I think that is Pierre Gasly, but I'm not 100% sure which one it is. Maybe it's Verstappen. Yeah, 33, Max Verstappen. And Ricciardo spilling smoke out of the back of his car. Having an absolutely torrid weekend, starting in last. I don't think he'd made up too many positions from there. And that is the end of his Grand Prix. And yeah, just an absolutely a weekend to forget for Daniel Ricciardo, all things considered. Gasly did end up pitting again, actually. I didn't make a reference to that, but he was running in third before the pit stop phase. But yeah, that extra pit stop that he did, I think maybe he got some damage at the start, and maybe he had to pit again to find his way to the end of the Grand Prix. Maybe he started on mediums, I don't know. But in any case, yeah, it means that Sainz and Stroll get promoted up one position. Stroll now in P4, having started P11, having a very solid drive here. And yeah, the yellow flags on this occasion actually denying me the potential to go for a dive bomb on George Russell. I was thinking about it into the hairpin, but yeah, we just had to hold off for the time being and see if we could try and overtake him on the following lap, maybe, as we move on to lap 25. But yeah, that is an opportunity that slipped through my fingers through no real fault of my own. It was just due to the yellow flags. Now, in a similar position to where we left off on lap 25, we rejoin on lap 27, and we're going to see if we can overtake George Russell. We're going to go wheel to wheel with him, but he locks up, and we make a lot of contact with him. I am amazed that we didn't get any damage, and I don't think he got any damage either. So yeah, both of us hold on for the time being, but that was a big dollop of contact between the two of us. I would have felt wrong if I'd overtaken him after that, even if he did lock up. It wasn't really his fault, you know, he just locked up. It's no big deal, and we will try and get ahead of him. But you can see he's really struggling. He's been oversteering a lot through these corners recently, and now as we move on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, it is do or die for us if we want to win this race. We have run out of time if we want to get past him. It has to be this lap. It has to be one of the ensuing corners or the DRS zone or somewhere. We do not have the time to play around and sit back anymore. We have to mount an attack. He has not broken away, but we have hit the back of him. He really struggled. He was oversteering through that corner, and that has given us front wing damage, and that is going to make it all the harder to get past him before the end of the Grand Prix. I'm going to go for a cheeky dive bomb from a long way back. You can see that we barely make the corner, but we do, and he gives room to us to make it happen, and we're up into P1 despite the fact that we got this front wing damage. But this is not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. I am going to be super slow through some of these corners with the loss of downforce that comes with having no front wing. You can see how much I'm struggling through this corner. Russell thinks about going for a move on me like I went for on Latifi earlier in the race, but he can't make it stick, and he has a number of corners to try and win this now. Only a few left to go. So yeah, it is not going to be easy for him to win this. He's going to have to do it either in the DRS zone or in the hairpin or something to that description. He has not got much time. He's 4/10 behind me before we get to the DRS zone. But how close will he be when we get to the hairpin? I'm burning all my battery. I've got nothing left to worry about. You know, I'm not going to be saving battery for the following lap or anything like that. I had very good battery management to take me up to this point. You can see that Russell's very, very close, closes the gap to 1/10, but doesn't go for an attack on this occasion, and I think he might have just run out of time unless he goes for a seriously crazy move into this final corner, but he doesn't. He's not close enough. We're going to burn battery to the line now, and we are going to take our first win of the season here in Shanghai. My goodness, I need to lie down after that one. What a crazy race that was. I can't believe how much contact there was towards the end between myself and Russell. That was bonkers. We take driver of the day for our troubles, and I think George Russell will be feeling a little bit hard done by, but we do win the race.
We wrap up yet another incredible Grand Prix weekend. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
The faces on our top three look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
Man, that was gloves off between me and Russell at the end there. We made contact no less than about 4 times in those final 2 laps, I think. It was absolutely brutal. It was a brawl between me and George Russell to see who would win this Grand Prix. He wanted the win, I wanted the win. You can see that he is not all smiles on this occasion. But, yeah, we are going to be the winner of the Chinese Grand Prix, not George Russell, and he is going to have to wait a little bit longer to get a win in this season.
And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Robinson increases their championship lead. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Robinson. They pushed and pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Now, it hasn't been the most lights-out start to the season that I think I've ever had in a My Team Career Mode season. But what I have been so far this season, which makes a marked change from last season, certainly, and also the seasons before that, perhaps. In these first 3 races, I have been shockingly consistent. I have been frighteningly consistent. You know, I have not been making any mistakes. I have not been losing pace on any occasion. I have just been extremely consistent, you know, finishing second, and now first. That has built me a 22-point gap out in front in just 3 races, because there is no one that is really contending with me right now. You know, there's no one who is who's banging in performances race after race after race. The only person who I could maybe make a case for doing that is Lance Stroll, who currently sits tied on points with Albon and Verstappen in second. Sainz is only 3 points behind those guys as well, and there is a real brawl coming out for P2 at the moment. And you know, whoever is the strongest of those drivers in Imola will no doubt take P2 in the championship. But yeah, it will be the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix on the same week as the real life Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix as well, which is very exciting to see. I'm looking forward to that race in real life, and I'm looking forward to that race when we come to it as well. We won there last year, obviously, after a strong performance in the sprint, followed up by a very strong performance on strategy in the race. That was what won it for us. We've been nailing the strategies at the moment. I think strategically we are probably the strongest driver on the grid. You know, the strategy is not necessarily always falling Alex Albon's way in my experience, but they have been falling my way on just about every occasion. And yeah, I am extremely gassed to see what this season holds. If I can keep up this level of consistency, not make many mistakes, keep getting these top 3 finishes, then I don't see how anyone can come at me this whole season, if I'm honest with you. You know, whilst everyone is kind of tripping over themselves, trying to develop their car to become faster, we are just bedded in and focused on performance, and we are going to be quick race after race after race. I'm going to say this, and then Imola is going to come around and I'm going to finish like 9th or something like that, and I'm going to regret all of this. But yeah, Lance Stroll coming out with some pretty strong consistency. I think he's had a 4th, a 3rd and a 4th this season as well. So yeah, really good stuff from him. Really strong performance this season from me. Sainz took a little while to hit the ground running, but he has had some good performances in these last couple races. Albon, I'm guessing he made some kind of mistake here and he wasn't really on the pace in Australia either after a poor qualifying. Verstappen again losing out here. So yeah, just nobody reaching the same levels of consistency as me so far. But there's a long season ahead of us. Like last season, you know, there were times when I was leading by 60 points and still it came down to the final race of the season season, so nothing is guaranteed until the trophy is in my hands, and so I'm going to keep pushing until then. Like I said, next up is the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, but that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.